I also found an article from the New York Times, which I found very interesting. It's called To Start a New Habit, Make It Easy. And one of the things that I had not ever seen written so clearly was, it says, in the scientific study of habit formation, something you're trying to do that's new, the thing that makes it harder for you to achieve your goal is called friction. Reducing friction means removing an obstacle or coming up with a strategy that makes a task easier to do. And then they talk about friction being in 3 different forms, which I found really interesting as well: distance, time, and effort. So, for example, if the thing you want to do is really far away and you have to, like your gym is 10 miles away, then you won't go as often as if it's around the corner. Time, if you have a lot of free time, it's easy to do things, but if you don't have a lot of free time, then that acts as friction. And then effort, something that requires a lot of effort, like for me, cleaning out a storage unit, created a lot of friction for me this last year. So I think rather than having this be the focus of today, if you just want to write those concepts down and think about them, include them in your writing, or not at all, it's fine. But I just found them really interesting. So aside from my check-in about these mixed feelings about the new year, is there anybody that would like to check in before we start talking about writing? Okay,
I would, please.
Okay, Carol and then Claudia.
All right.
I want to say, don't forget too much free time.
Yes.
In my case, I live alone. I don't know that many people. I know enough people, but I don't know that. I have too much free time. So to fill it with something worthwhile is really a problem. And also something happened in the past week that I just came from a writing workshop that I wrote about because I needed to tell about it. Somebody in my building jumped from the balcony.
Oh,
and is no more. A very nice man that I knew. He used to live on my floor. So those are the 2 things in mind. And if they're not appropriate, just forget it.
No, they're fine. No, okay. As a matter of fact, I saw something.
Yeah, I wrote that.
Chat, right? And I was going to ask you if he was okay afterwards, and he was not. Oh, that's so. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and when you don't know about it, and you know how I live in a big building, there's hundreds of people in my building, yuck. But on my floor, there's all kinds of people, and we never see each other because it's a nice, quiet floor. I know the lady down the hall, Betty, blah, blah, blah. I know a few people, but I knew this guy because he was easy to know and because he owned restaurants all up and down Main Street. So you maybe know him too. Wow. And that was harder. It was harder to figure. He you know, I felt I really knew him, even though we weren't like that. So I'm going through that and getting over it, and I'm working hard at it.
My goodness. All right. Wow. Claudia.
Thank you, Jean. Carol, I don't know why, but it makes me think of your crows on the outside of your building and your relationship with those crows.
Thank you. I like that.
And then, Jean, I just want to say something. When I talk to you about, there's a hurt that I carry, but when I talked to you, you gave me such amazing advice. And I really want to honor that. And I brought in today some of the bitterness that I feel, and bitterness is never a good idea. So I recognize that. And I just, and the article that you brought up is so much like you. And I'm grateful for the space, and I don't want to ever violate what I see as sort of the precepts of it that you brought to it. So if I did, I apologize.
No. But we talked about what's on your mind, and that was on your mind, but it looked like a longer conversation, and we can certainly, even you and I, talk on the phone afterwards.
But I just wanted to make sure I honored it, because the way you have structured this, I think gives people the regard and respect where they actually can bring their true selves to it. And I find, what you have done amazing, and I'm very grateful for it. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that was your check-in. You didn't want.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to go back and reassure you, if you needed it, that I wasn't going off target. I get it. All right.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else want to check in?
Yeah, I will. I'll just say that. Hi. That I agree with you, Carol. Sometimes I have too much time on my hands, and then I ended up. I have filled up a lot of my free time with doing some volunteer work for somebody that is problematic. Yeah, I will if I can stay on. But it's like that's what I've chosen. So, I don't know. Anyway,
Interesting.
that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Daria.
I, for one, am super excited. It's a new year. I think that new beginnings, new years or whatever are fun. And I don't know. I'm just happy about it.
Good. We're excited for you. Daria, Donya.
And I will say, I wasn't going to comment, but that sparked me to say, and it's okay that I didn't start out perfectly on New Year's Day with my New Year's. I'm remembering that, like at our solstice, winter solstice, it isn't just the one day that's the longest night of the year. It kind of hangs in there for a couple of days. So the fact that I didn't start anything perfectly, but that I haven't started the new year perfectly and done everything I said I would every single day, it's okay. And I'm here to, yeah.
Well, and actually that's what this topic is about. That's why I included the topic of Kaizen. I have always liked this concept. The Japanese invented the word Kaizen, and one of the principles is taking big things, unmanageable things, and breaking them into little bits. And so if it's something like starting a new year and one of the bits is waiting 3 days to start, that's fine. It's that we can do anything we want to, and that there are so many, I think, association constraints that we have with our culture, that we have to be number one, we have to be on all the time, we have to be happy all the time. And I'm just happy that we have this forum where we can be ourselves and we don't have to be happy all the time. And we can process all the kinds of feelings that we have, happiness and sadness. And we talked in Massage Sunday about the word bittersweet. Maureen Chappell brought that up. That something can be bitter and sweet at the same time, that you can have those feelings at the same time. So what I'd like to do is to take a few minutes of silence to think about something that you would like to do differently or better, or continue to do the same in the new year, that perhaps you push yourself too much, a little bit like Donya was talking about. I had to start the first day. I have to get this much done, right? And something that, if you broke it into little pieces and allowed yourself to feel happy about those little pieces, about accomplishing those little pieces, that it would be better than the way that we usually push ourselves. So let's take 2 minutes of silence. So unless somebody else would like to start, I will start with what my challenge is and how I think this principle of Kaizen could help me. I have little by little over the last few years gotten more active. I experience a lot of safety sitting at my computer, doing stuff that's right here and it's all inside my head. I love to write. I love to organize things, and I get myself involved in things that take a lot of time. Speaking of which, Donya, I haven't yet done that spreadsheet for you. I wasn't able to, so we can talk about that. So anyway, I finally got myself in the last year in a class on Monday with Tai Chi, which I love, and a class on Wednesday with Qigong, which I also love, which is pretty much stretching and activating the the acupressure points. And I couldn't get myself to exercise. I hate the word exercise because it conjures up all these images of, you know, having to do it, you know, the burning is better and all that kind of stuff. So movement, I guess I'll say. I couldn't get myself to move other days. I thought, well, I've got these 2 days and I'm doing these and that's better than before. So this has to be enough. Then I got into a salsa dance class on Fridays. And after 2 sessions, I injured myself. I couldn't do anything for 2 months. I literally could not stand up on that left foot because I had tendonitis. And it took quite a while to figure out what was going on. It took an MRI. And so I had to figure out, you know, what can I do because I have to keep moving. And basically, I started doing acupressure on myself. I started doing, you know, arm exercises while I was sitting. I would lie down and put my feet up the wall. I did all sorts of things. And it started to, you know how these kinds of things sometimes release you into a new way of doing something that can actually be better than what you were doing before? Getting injured is like that. And I began to be happier with small amounts of movement. And I did it like all day long. You know, I would get up and I could only stand for a few minutes. So I would do a couple of, they're called knocking on the door of life in Qigong, or just waist twists. Or I would lift a leg and put it back down again, you know. And I found that my body was starting to feel better with these little tiny efforts. So that's what I want to do this year, is to continue with that. I purchased a dance video that I love, and I could only do half of it, and I was almost going to force myself to keep going, and then I thought, that's my pattern. I got to stop doing that. So when I got tired, I stopped. So that's what I want to do. That's my Kaizen strategy. So we can either talk about what we want to do, or we can just write about it now. Let's see, what time is it? It's about 2:25. Would you like to write? How many people would like to write? Couple, okay. Anybody want to talk instead or before? Daria? And Carol? Go ahead, Daria. If you'd like to write, just go right ahead. It's perfectly fine to put your head down and start writing.
But I can talk?
Uh-huh.
Well, I really like the idea that Kaizen presents about incremental improvement, because it's kind of like a merciful way of treating accomplishment. And to me, I have been watching a Cobra Kai basically since forever, for the last week, because I'm in love with the principles that you see in the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai, which is very much a Kaizen thing. So it's funny that this is the topic, but for me, I want to basically just be very strategic about my accomplishments and my goals, and not just strategic, but really, I think, clear, because anybody can be strategic, but if you're not clear on your strategy, you're not clear on your strategy. And incremental improvement necessitates clarity. So for me, I think it's just about understanding what I want to do, and then understand what the steps are in the fullest capacity of understanding what the step is. Because I can know there are 10 steps, but if I don't know what each step means and why it relates to the goal, what am I doing? So that's what I want to say.
Like it, thank you. And then Carol, I think you were next.
I don't really think I should say anything. I don't understand everybody's language. What is Cobra Kai? I forgot.
Oh.
I mean, you know, Daria is intense when she speaks, and it seems important, and I want to get it, but I don't quite get it. What can you explain? Cobra Kai?
Yeah, of course. Cobra Kai is a TV show based on the original trilogy of The Karate Kid, which came out in the 80s.
Oh, you're
And
kidding.
it's, no,
Okay. And it's influential because of the way the person who's the main actor learns and teaches and so forth.
yeah. I mean, I feel like, well, we could talk about it another time, but yeah,
Okay. I got
let's just
enough.
say it relates to Kaizen very much.
Thank you very much.
And it's on Netflix?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
What's Netflix? Sorry. Just kidding, but I don't have all that fancy stuff.
All right. Would anybody else like to talk rather than or in addition to? Louise.
Yeah, I've already written. So,
Okay.
and I have no desire to write more, but I wanted to talk about, first of all, there's a guy named Stephen Guise, Guise, who's written books on this too. I don't know if he found out about Kaizen first, but it's called Mini Habits. And like he has, I love his description of his mini habit, which was that he kept trying to get himself to do push-ups and go to the gym and exercise, and he never would do it. And then one day he said, okay, what if I just did one push-up a day? And I committed to that. And so therefore he'll never fail if he just does one push-up, but often he'll do more, and it changed his whole life. So anyway, it's the same, I think it's the same principle. But I love the idea of, if there's a big project, do like set a timer 10 minutes and just do it, and you might get more. But for me, I want to not be so addicted to TV series and movies. Unlike Carol, I do have fancy things to watch all the time, and I'm really addicted to it. It's like as if nothing else is as much fun. Nothing else is as interesting. So lately what I'm doing, like this morning, like I even watch TV during the day, every morning, every meal time. And I'm just addicted to it. Plus it makes me want to sit on the couch. And so my body feels sluggish and so forth. So I've been putting music on, just like Pandora or my own iTunes library and listening to music. And there's an article in Harper's this month called The Freedom of a Regular Routine. And I find that so interesting because I have such a hard time. I had to do a long list of things that I need to do every day, or I want to do. Some of them I need to do, have to. And I get so distracted. Like I'll start on one thing and then I'll go to something else. I'll never finish one thing. It's just really, really difficult. And so anyway, I am going to start going to Gold's Gym with Jane Monteagle. She goes every morning, and it's on my plan, my insurance plan, even though there's tech problems getting in there. And, also, I just want to say COVID really puts a damper on things. I mean, damn, you want to, okay, I've gone to a movie, I can bike, I can ride, walk and so forth. But just COVID just makes us feel has made me feel so confined. And it's isolating to be home that much. But yet you get used to it. And it's like I want to scuttle back home, kind of. Okay, I'll pass.
Okay. I just want to do a few really quick comments on what Louise said. First of all, I read a really interesting article yesterday about Stockholm syndrome in COVID, that you get used to being alone and that you would rather do it than making the effort to figure out who can I see without a mask and all that stuff. I'm experiencing that myself. Then the other thing is about the one push-up. And I think that the reason why the one push-up works is that once you do the first one, you go, that wasn't so bad. It's getting you started. So it's overcoming the inertia that you feel. Because inertia is when you're sitting on the couch, you don't want to move. But once you start moving, you almost don't want to sit down on the couch. And then the last thing I wanted to say that an interesting therapist talked to me about is that when you have too much free time, she said, Jean, you need bookends. And she used the word bookends to say you need something in the day to mark these two areas so that you can get things done in between. And that absolutely works for me. So I'll plan a trip to a bookstore or something like that to return a Christmas present just to get myself out of the house to get me going. And once I'm going, then I'm much better off. So, okay. Is there anybody else that would like to talk? Claudia. Oh, and we have two Claudias. Hi, Claudia Dubuque. How are you?
Good, good.
Oh, how nice.
Okay, Claudia Landis.
Okay, I can make this brief, sort of.
You don't have to.
The illness that I have is very much related to my own profession. And the reason I've been able to like tease it apart is because I was used as a demonstration patient to this guy in Switzerland and Seattle, and I was almost comatose. I could understand everything they were saying, not because I'm especially special, but just because I've had a million years of training in it. The dentist didn't have a clue, and they don't want to have a clue. They want to have that instrument between them and the patient. Very interesting to see. And I had one dentist say, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist. Well, that's not true. And my profession is about not being able to see things and make sense of it. What happened to me, though, is, and it's been going on for, this happened to me, I think, living in Detroit. And the grieving I have to go through is I think I've been sick a lot of my life. And it's kind of too bad, obviously. And, I think there's a whole population that has been poisoned by things. And I have to come to terms with that. But what I feel like is that I got sick and, I was sort of deteriorating. COVID, in a funny way, brought people to me. Like I was having to isolate, not because I wanted to. There's a medical condition, a kind of stroke that we call it locked-in syndrome, where the person is fully conscious and can understand everything but can't communicate. And I feel like that's what I've been. And it's like COVID has brought people to me, and it's almost been a boon. What has happened, what I get pleasure out of, and it's very hard to communicate, is, and I see it happening with these different medical professionals as they try to communicate with the greater population, is the extreme creativity that comes with understanding nature. And there's a lot of feeling that all doctors want to be our rich doctors that control things. That's never been my interest. And I don't think that was understood. It was misconstrued. And what I have thoroughly enjoyed is being able to bring to our community an idea of what may be being thought. And I so have tried to bring up about broad concepts with the idea that you can, people can use, first of all, they can see the creativity, but then they can also use it to maybe bring some order to their life. That's what I enjoy. And I somehow wasn't able to communicate that before COVID came. And so in a funny way, COVID has been helpful to me, not because I want to be more alone, but almost because I want to be less alone. And I love the things that motivate me to somehow to be received, whether I was communicating it wrong before or people weren't ready to hear it.
So I'm just trying to put this together in what the context of the discussion we're having. So is there a challenge that you feel that you want to take
Okay.
this year?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, there I go. And maybe this is what I do. I always go to the overreaching concept, and that may even like take control from the person that is trying to organize it. I don't mean that. In our family, the word we use is baby steps.
Mhm.
And and um and that is, but I guess I always like the big idea, so that's where I go. And it may overwhelm people, it may but yeah, it's very much, and then maybe I get away from the core idea, but baby steps is what I was focusing on.
Okay, so what is it that you are wanting to take on with these baby steps?
I am wanting, I would like to contribute to a group, a community, in a way that's productive, but with an area that most people are afraid of, science, and instead bring it down. And then I would just like to contribute to a community without somehow seeming like an affront to the community. And that's going to require baby steps from me.
Okay, actually, this is something that you started in the last year and you're continuing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh, great, thank you. Anybody else? So this has turned more into a discussion than writing. I'm sorry about that, but you can write if you'd like to. So let's take a look at time. So we still got 10 minutes or so left. Bonnie, would you like to talk at all about 2022? You don't have to.
Well, I can try. There's a lot of noise going on out here, so
Oh,
it's pretty distracting.
oh, we don't hear it.
Just to say, I don't pressure myself with resolutions. I quit that years ago. January 1 is just another day. It's what we in our Western culture, etc., make of it.
Right.
Winter solstice is a new time. Spring solstice is a new time. But even then, we do what we do with it. So I don't press too hard on this resolution business.
Oh, I think that's so healthy.
I have a couple.
Oh, now I hear it.
Yeah, it's right out. It's pretty loud.
Wow.
What was I going to say? Yeah, it's just other days, and I have my little emotional states that are reactions that I want to change within myself. And when I make a change for the better, I'm grateful.
Oh, I think that's
And a lot of it takes practice.
It does. It does. And Claudia D, how are you?
Thanks, Jean.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
I'm doing well. I like this idea of Kaizen. I think we brought it up in I forgot how, but I think you had mentioned it to me before. And when I see something, and what I've gained from this meeting is, I use Trello, which is a Kanban board system, and my Trello is a mess. I have a lot of boards. I have so many things that I put up there, and it's just a mess. I mean, they're great, all great ideas, things that should have been done that aren't. And so what I want to do is use the Kaizen method to go through my other Japanese form of organizing my shit and doing going through each thing I put on that Kanban board, and then say, is that too big of a thing? Maybe we should take this little post-it square that says create a relationship, blah 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 blah, and let's break it down into smaller bites, and then use those bites as the to-dos, or to show progression. And then I thought, the other thing I'd like to do in 2022 is I'm involved in a lot of things, and what I'd like to do is to narrow that down so that because my big focus is transitioning from my current career to a new career, and that's taking a lot. I am enjoying the process, but it's taking a lot. And then, you know, and then the other thing is I don't have, I get overwhelmed because I have so many things going on that I get stuck. I stop and I have these like deer in headlights look, like I don't even know how to get going. You know, and so cleaning up my tools, sometimes I start with just cleaning the kitchen sink or organizing laundry or doing one thing that's physical that involves my hands. And then my brain releases and there's some progress where, oh yeah, just do this next or just do this next. And my other tool that I love is I have this clock called the time timer, and you can set it for a specific amount of time. And, you know, whether it's an hour or 25 minutes is good for me. Work on something for 25 minutes because then in my mind I say, oh, then I get 5 minutes off. Sometimes it has to be shorter, like 10 minutes. You know, it just until I gain my ability to focus back without being overwhelmed with what was, you know, and so it's really, for me, it's great thoughts, great ideas, never had a problem with that. Great relationships, never had a problem with that. Organization, a little bit of a problem with that. So I'd really love to include writing. And so I want to create a writing schedule and know what the modality is. Like, am I doing it online or am I doing it in a notebook? And how do I, you know, make sure I don't miss out on putting it all together somehow? So, yeah.
Can I ask you a question? I don't know what is it? Trello?
Trello, yeah, Trello. It's a fabulous tool. Atlassian, I think, bought it. They're buying up everything that looks like this. But the two I love using is Trello, and it has certain workspaces. So you can create a board. So I have a board called Get a Job. I have a board called Personal Integrity, which is basically my finances, because need to have that, you know, that truth. Toastmasters, you know, IASG, my current job. So those are my boards.
So this is on the computer.
Yep, Trello. Yep. And so it allows you to take a little, what they call a post-it, from one, like from an idea to the to-do to done. Idea, to-do, done, right? And you can add columns. Like I have one called references or one called good to do, like, you know, not committing yet, but you know, I had the idea, put it on that list.
Someday.
So, right. And then the other one that I like using is Todoist, Todoiast, Todoist. And that's a great tool as well for because it will take everything you've written in every one of your little subjects, and if you have a date in it, it pulls it so that when you pull up today, you get exactly the tasks you want to get done that day. You know, and you have the choice to move it to another day, or you know, or so you can move it around as like a calendar. You know, so those two, and you know, it's like a messy room. My computer's like a messy room. My room is great. My computer is a little messy.
All right. And Donia, did you have time to talk? Did you want to?
I do want to, and I'm just, so my project, my goal is that on February 12th, a friend is going to come and stay with me for 2 weeks. She wanted to come New Year's, and I said, I can't get your bedroom back from being a storage unit for the last 2 years. into being a bedroom, but I think I can do it by February 14th. So that's my project. And I just made a map of the bedroom, and I broke it down into blocks and numbers. So the first step was map the room, then choose the area, create a sequence. I added in set the timer. I've added in put music in. So as you all have been talking, I've been adding those points in, and that's me breaking it down into little pieces and being happy about the little pieces. And it includes the closet. Right now, the bed is piled high, and that's divided into units. And I made it blue to remind me that this is fun and to have fun with this. So I'll keep you posted.
That's great. That's kind of what I did with my storage unit.
Yes.
But it took a whole year, and at the beginning I didn't think that it was possible to clean it out, and it did it happened.
You did it.
Yeah,
you did it.
All right, so it's about 10:03. Is there anybody that would like to say some more words to us?
Could I say one thing, and I'll keep it short?
Uh-huh.
A very important part of this, and I bet everyone on here can relate to it. I take responsibility for a lot. And, maybe even a personality that would become a physician is that kind of person. I am trying to include offloading some of the responsibility of what's happened in my life to other people that are in my life, and not try to fix everything. If you really want to know my task, it's not self-improvement, even though it maybe should be. It's baby steps to getting other people that kind of have the male gender. All right.
Uh-huh. I can relate to that. And, before we go, I wanted to make sure that everybody is okay with the video. If you don't want your comments to be on the video, just let us know and Louise will leave them off. Anybody want to take theirs off? We're okay?
And I wanted to add to what Claudia just said, that I realized sometimes I get my best inspirations first thing in the morning before I get out of bed. And one of them, I think Gaia is speaking to me. And one of them was to remind me that when I did my storage unit, I got a lot of help. And there are people who are really good at helping us. And that it's empowering when we ask them for help. Like Maureen told us one time, the people who helped during the time of the Holocaust were the ones who were asked to help save Jews. They were asked. They might not have ever done it if they hadn't been asked. So to remember to ask people to help us.
Oh, thank you. I got a lot from this. It wasn't exactly the session that I had planned at all, but I really got a lot from this. Thank you very much for coming today. Any last words?
I have a last question. Is Kaizen, it's the concept of breaking things down into small manageable units. Is that correct?
It's one of the parts of a whole big system.
Oh, okay.
If you Google it, you'll see that there's a lot of stuff about Japanese business.
Oh,
They start the day as teams and blah, blah, blah.
oh,
But one of the things is breaking.
okay. And the writing, that's just us doing writing. There's not a writing component in Kaizen, is there?
No.
Okay.
No. I had planned for us to just write, but I thought it was so much more interesting to hear everybody's.
It is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, Happy New Year, and may we all take baby steps. I love that. That's a really good little phrase. Take baby steps to get done what we need to do, and to be compassionate with ourselves in our travels and our tasks. Happy Tuesday.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Bye-bye.
See everybody.
Bye.